Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Vacuum Expedition. I, of course, am Carl, and we are back with another weekly upload. Now, if you guys tuned in to my episode last week, I did announce that we are doing a new special series this month, and that being on the Hoover Convertible, the quintessential vacuum cleaner that you could buy throughout the late 50s all the way up into the 80s and 90s. They have been a staple in the American home for decades, and being the major competition for people like General Electric, as well as Singer, or even Eureka. So I'm so glad that you guys are here because we do have a very special one to talk about today. And of course, for those that have also been tuning in, we are now in a new year, so we will be doing more series throughout the year, month by month, of course. But starting in February, we will be kind of doing probably a couple months of just whatever kind of vacuums that I feel like. So that could be a convertible too, or it could be some Eurekas, or maybe it'll be something from the 90s, or maybe even the 1900s. So we don't know yet. But we will get into that as time progresses. So without further ado, let's get on to our video for today and take a look at another really cool one. All right, everybody. So we have a very interesting Hoover convertible to talk about today. Now, what we are looking at is a 1979 Hoover convertible model U4119. Now, for those that are collectors out there, we know this machine quite well. The U4119 was a very, very popular machine, and it was marketed on quite the broad array of outlets. Now, the 4119 was, in essence, a very simple convertible. You didn't have a whole lot of options, but you did have some very important ones. Now, in terms of the actual options that this machine had, like I said, you didn't have very many, but you did still have the larger Type A bag setup for this machine, so that did carry over. And of course, for those that know convertibles, I know a lot more people preferred the Type A setup over the Type C that was done away with kind of earlier. Now, being as that this was one of the later generation convertibles, kind of like what I was talking about with the U4123 that we looked at last week, this has the square plug on the end of the cord, which is moving it along in their evolution. Now, what you lacked in this machine, unfortunately, was you had a half bumper, like I was talking about, so it doesn't go all the way around. You did have a plastic base, which was new in, I believe, 1977. So this was one of the earlier to have that base. However, you did not have a headlight, and you only had a three-position height adjustment on the back right here. Now, that's not to say that these weren't super usable machines. A lot of people bought these machines, probably in the hundreds of thousands, if not more, were bought, and everybody loved them. They were workhorses. Commercial carpet and house cleaning outfits loved them because they were just so easy. They were easy to take care of and maintain. They're easy to use. You didn't have to take a college course in operating them like several of the newer commercial as well as residential machines of today, with all their computer gadgets and gizmos. It was just a vacuum cleaner that worked and worked well. Now, this one is actually quite special. Now, for those that knew him, this machine came from my late friend Jay Devine, or Jason Huber. This machine was actually very special for him because this was the machine, as I was told, was the machine that his parents were given when they were married. So this carried on and was used by his family for all of its lifetime up until he became a collector, and then thus transitioned to a collection piece when he started his collecting hobby, and branched out to have a place of his own. So this, for the better part of probably 20 years, has been more so a collection piece sitting on display. But this was a very, very important machine for him. This was what really got Jay into vacuums in a lot of ways, along with several other vacuums that his other assorted family members had, but this was a very important one. So when I was going through some of the Kansas vacuum cleaners, I saw the bin that had this one in it. So I thought, you know what, it's a perfect time to get this thing out. That leads me to my next point here. Now, Hoover advertised their vacuum cleaners in many, many, many different places. Whether they had contracted out and had them privately labeled, or maybe they were just had a contract to sell their machines, or maybe they had specific dealers, specific colors and such. This was not anything overly special, but it was represented in several places. You saw it in Alden's and Woolco and Kmart, and I think Walmart even had it, and True Value. And either way, this was represented all over the place. So I'm going to show you guys a selection of ads that contain this machine in it right here. As you can see, this machine really was sold everywhere. Hoover doubled down on this one, and I'd say that they picked a winner because overall, you could pretty much do all of your floor cleaning with this machine. It's not as harsh when it comes to vacuuming on hard floor. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it still because, just like I had talked about earlier, they do have a tendency to sweep everything up underneath the machine rather than sucking it up. But it is gentle enough that it can handle it pretty well, in my opinion. However, it really shines on carpeting, much like we have here. So that's what, of course, we will be doing our run demo on. But overall, this is a very interesting machine. Now, not very many Hoover convertibles came in an all one color motif, minus, of course, the handle. But this one did, and they really did well on the coloring, in my opinion. Of course, late 70s, you are going to have more of the mustards and browns and all kinds of stuff like that. But this machine really did quite well for them. And honestly, they did have a lot of them sold, of course, so they should have done well. So now with this machine, what I learned in my time with Jay, there was actually two versions of this machine, and I had no idea, but there was what they considered an early and a late 4119. An early 4119 actually had a different switch. You'll look right here, there's actually a toggle switch right here. Now, on the later machines, they had a slide switch, which denotes, well, if it's an earlier or later one, obviously. But either way, there were two versions of it. And apparently, the earlier version with the toggle switch tended to have either more issues or they didn't sell quite as many as the later slide switch, which makes this one a little bit more uncommon because it does have the earlier switch. But it is still quite an interesting machine nonetheless. So, but let's get on to our run demo. This machine actually hasn't been fired up since Jay was still around. So this is the first time in several years that this is going to be getting power to it. So it's actually going to be quite a special moment. So let's get on to our run demo and see how the old 4119 does on the floor. All right, everybody. So we have the old Hoover convertible model U4119 all plugged in. Like I was saying earlier, this is the first time this is fired up since Jason passed away back in 2021. And I'm sure he hadn't used it in probably several years before that. So this machine has not had power breathe life into it in a long, long, long time. But we're going to change that right now. So let's get on to this and see how it does on the floor. Well, there you have it, folks. The U4119 did a fantastic job on the floor. Of course, why wouldn't it? These were quality machines and built with a lot of pride. And of course, they're some of the machines that put Hoover on the map. So I hope you all enjoyed our little run demo for today. Well, everybody, we've come to the end of our lovely video with this beautiful 1979 Hoover convertible model U4119. Now, these machines really did a lot for Hoover in terms of putting their name out there still as the America's leader in home floor care. This machine, of course, was very, very, very well cared for and always regularly serviced. And then, of course, once Jay became a trained serviceman, it was continuously kept up by him as well. Um, Now, being as that this one is so special, it will be sticking around in my collection, and of course, it will retain the story that is of how it was acquired and for whom. So, thankfully, it won't be going anywhere for quite a long time now. As far as the 4119s go, like I said, they were quite common. I myself have had three pass through my workbench before. Including this one. I had another one when I was a lot younger in my collection that I actually sold to a vacuum shop. And then I'm currently restoring another one for my good friend Mitchell Armstrong. So that one, maybe we'll look at that one on a vacuums rescue. How about that? So, but either way, thank you all again for joining us today. I know this isn't the most interesting of machines, but hey, it was a cool machine with a cool story that I was happy to bring out for you guys. Um, you know, not all of them are going to be fancy and have all these gadgets and gizmos that come with them. Not all of them are going to be, these stellar floor care products that were big names and notorious in the vacuum collecting world. But I love to look at all things in terms of the collecting hobby, including the run of the mill, bottom of the line convertibles, much like this. But either way, thank you all again for watching today. This was a blast to make, and we will catch you again next week. Same guy, same place, different vacuum or vacuums, and we'll catch you again next Sunday. Have a great rest of your day, y'all.